rolling. He said there's probably some ideas that he has left over from the last album. He says their songs are pretty thematically similar, and but he said he never planned for the Grammy nomination and never figured it would happen. He hopes to put it out in 2023. So what do you make of all that, Dave? What do you make of that?
I'm ready for another Mammoth album.
Yeah, absolutely. So listen to this. So, Dave, you brought this up to my attention, and I went haywire with it. I cannot believe what we're about to share with you guys. Okay, so Dave and I did not originate this. This came from something Dave found on the links, but I looked into it and did some research, and I cannot believe what I'm about to tell you guys. So, okay. So we're calling it the Panama Controversy. So the song Panama, we all know, the hit from 1984, right? Okay, great. We all know that the song starts, the guitar, everything about, like 25 seconds in or something like that. The song starts, jump back, what's that sound? Here she comes, full blast and top down. That's the first two lines of the song. That has been written in all the lyric books. That is on the original recording, and that's the official lyric there, okay? This is how it was recorded. This is how it was written. So now here's an original clip of the original 1984 recording of the song, just of that line.
Jump back, what's that sound? Here she comes, full blast and top down.
Okay, so now Roth sang it that way on the recording. He also sang it that way on the 1984 tour. Here's the clip. Okay, and now when Sammy joined the band in 1985, late 85, and then they came out with the 5150 album and tour in 1986, he changed the lyric to jump back, what's that sound? Here she comes, foot tapping, top down. So now obviously he's changing the lyric. Here's the clip.
What's that sound? Now here she comes, foot tapping, top down.
So now that's Sammy changing the lyric. Yes, it's strange, for sure. But, Sammy, first of all, he didn't want to sing those songs anyway. So he's running through them. Him making a mistake is not that big a deal. Whatever. Who cares? He's obviously not paying attention and doesn't care to even sing the song properly. He doesn't even do the, hey, yeah, uh-huh, in the beginning of the song. So he's obviously just doing it his own way. Whatever. But in a strange turn of events, Roth, on the Eat 'Em and Smile tour, started singing the song in Sammy's way. Listen to this clip. And then Sammy continued to sing it that same way on the OU812 tour. Meanwhile, Roth is singing the line wrong on the Skyscraper tour. Sammy continues with the foot tapping line on the For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge tour.
What's that sound? Here she comes, foot tapping, top down.
And so did Roth on the Little Ain't Enough tour. And he did the same with the Filthy Little Mouth tour. Now, the insanity followed on the Balance tour with Sam. And even in Dave's Vegas show, he sang Panama with the same wrong line.
Mama, what's that sound? Here she comes, baby, put the top down.
Then in 1998, when Gary Cherone joined the band for the Van Halen 3 album and tour, he sang it correctly. In the same year, while promoting the DLR band record, Roth sang the wrong lyric. When Sam returned to the band for the 2004 reunion, he never changed it back. He did it the same way. And when Roth reunited with the Brothers and Wolf in 2007, he still got it wrong. And continued to get it wrong in 2012. And 2015. And even in 2020, when he opened for Kiss, he sang it the wrong way. Now, when the late J.D. Lane from Warrant performed the song on a Van Halen tribute album, even he got it right. Now, this is a real mystery, and no one seems to know why this happened. I don't care or mind that Sam got it wrong, because Sam's indifferent to all old Van Halen. However, how does Roth get his own lyric wrong, plus he's copying Sam's mistake? Kudos to Gary for getting it right. I have no idea. The line foot tapping top down doesn't even make sense. Dave, what the hell do you make of this?
First of all, holy excellent research, Dave. Gotta hand that to you. I just want to say kudos to you for digging all that up. That's number one. Number two, yeah, when I read that, I was like, the most bizarre part is not that Sam got it wrong, but that Dave started singing it Sam's way.
That is so
and just
bizarre.
Kept on doing that. Like, am I missing a piece of the puzzle where there's a lyric sheet out there of that song with that lyric, and that's the one Dave and Sam were reading after the 1984 tour? I mean, what am I not getting here? I was just flabbergasted when I read that, because it's one of those things you read and then there's a couple of people on the VH Link site who are like, oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah. And I'm like, what? Really? I never heard that. I never realized that.
Right.
Again, one of those things where you're like, I'm not really much of a super fan, I guess, because I totally missed that. I mean, it's minor in the grand scheme of things, but it's just so amazing that Sam starts singing the wrong lyric. And then Dave starts singing the wrong lyric after that.
For years. For years.
Yeah, right. And I'm just wondering what piece of the puzzle I'm missing. Because it just sounds like Sam started singing it wrong and then Dave started singing it that way. But it doesn't make any sense that Dave would start singing it Sam's way. That's like the last thing you would do, right? You would think.
Unbelievable. Kudos to whoever came up with this. I cannot believe someone picked this up. Sammy doing the foot tap, you know, like, I am so expecting Sammy to just fuck up the lyric that I don't even care. I also love how Gary made a point to correct it, and even when Janie Lane sang it for the Van Halen tribute album, he made sure it was correct. But all those years, Dave, the Eat 'em and Smile tour, the Skyscraper tour, the Little Ain't Enough tour, the Filthy Little Mouth tour, the DLR Band tour, the Vegas show. He's getting it wrong at every single freaking tour. But let me tell you something. Here's a clip that's going to blow your mind. This is a clip of Panama. This is the breakdown of Panama from 2007 in San Diego. And listen to this.
Oh, it's hot tonight. I can barely see the road overhead. Gotta reach down between my legs. Ease the seat down. I'm building tension. How we do it? So if you want it, got to wait for it, baby. If you want it, got to wait for it, baby. Wait for it, mama. So if you want it, got to wait for it, baby. I totally fucked that up, didn't I?
hear this, Wolf has to come over and whisper in Dave's ear and telling him he's singing the wrong song.
The wrong
Dave's
song. Yes,
starting to
yes.
sing the breakdown for Ain't Talking About Love during the breakdown part of Panama. And then he goes, what do you want from me? It's been 22 years. But it's like, you've been singing Panama like every night. I have to say, one thing I also looked up, Dave, Panama is the one song that Dave and Van Halen always have in their set list. It is the one song, you can't even say that for Jump. It is always in the set list. Whether it's the 5150 tour, the Fuck tour, the OU812 tour, the Balance tour, the DLR Band tour, Skyscraper, Little Ain't Enough, Eat 'em and Spout, it's always on the set list. Panama is always on the set list. It's even in the goddamn Vegas show.
Wow, I would have thought like Ain't Talking About Love or Jump would have been in that.
No,
in that
I'll tell you what.
too.
Well, Roth always plays Jump for sure. However, Van Halen has eliminated Jump, as you all know, multiple times during the Sammy era. So,
That's
but
true.
Panama has always been there, which is interesting. So it is the most played Van Halen song through the years. The last clip I played you, which was from 2015, that's the last Van Halen show. So even to the last drop, he got it wrong. I mean, wow. And to not only get it wrong, but to get it wrong the way Sam made it wrong, as far as I'm concerned, that's worse than the Dave lyric that Sam stole. When's the last time you did something for the first time?
When's the last time you did something for the first time?
Right. Can you believe it? I don't know what to say. I really don't.
I know. Mind blown.
We have a little bit of sad news. Bassist Phil Chen, who was the bassist for the Starfleet project that Eddie Van Halen did with Brian May in 1983, has passed away. He died in December of 2021 after a long battle with cancer, and he was surrounded by his family and friends at the time and his grandchildren. So we say a fond farewell to Phil Chen, who obviously played in Eddie's only side project at the time. So that's sort of a nice mark to have, but I know he had a long career himself, and sorry to hear him pass, that's for sure. In speaking of passing, Steve Vai was doing an interview, and he was talking about Eddie Van Halen's passing. And he said, I'm a fan like everybody else, and I feel the way they do. He says, Ed had a beautiful, amazing ride. Just a great run. It's not like he died at 27. We don't want to see anybody like that we want to squeeze every note out of them. But he says it was a complete honor to play his guitar parts. But he said, if you're a guitar player and you're a fan of the band, you know those are some of the coolest guitar parts ever written in rock and roll. They're perfect little arrangements. They fall well into your hands, and they'll never sound like Edward, but they're great songs to play on the guitar because they're just so complete. So he had nice things to say about Ed. However, Jeff Scott Soto didn't have the nicest things to say about Sammy. So Jeff Scott Soto, who is the lead singer of Sons of Apollo, he said that he had met David Lee Roth for the first time when he was singing with Yngwie Malmsteen at the Hollywood Palladium in 1985. He took a quick photo with him, and he said Dave has always been a massive influence and a massive inspiration for him. So we all know that Billy Sheehan, who's David Lee Roth's former bassist, is the bassist in Sons of Apollo. But he said, listen, maybe he's not Lou Gramm, talking about Dave, or Mike Reno, or Steve Perry, or Jimmy Jameson. But what he did not only put a stamp on what the band sounded like and stood for, he actually was a good singer. You hear certain qualities of his voice. Yeah, there might be some things he's throwing away, but the narrative of what he's doing to those songs is why those songs became so important. And then when you get another singer doing it, who's actually a good singer to sing them, it just sounds stupid. It's goofy as far as I'm concerned. I love Sammy Hagar to death, but I didn't enjoy Sammy singing Dave's songs. And I think he realized that. Only Dave has a certain magic. So, very interesting comments from Jeff Scott Soto about Sammy. I can't believe that. What do you think of that, Dave?
Wasn't he a replacement singer for Journey?
He was for a very brief period of time.
I understand, but
yeah.
I think that's cojones.
Yeah.
Saying